Yeah, good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible and everyone could see my screen here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So, where are we, guys? What are we discussing? I think in the last class we are done with the inheritance concept. We have seen the classes concept, constructors, etc. stuff. What we are seeing. Okay. So the next topic, what are we going to look into is exception handling. Okay. So before this, what do you mean by an exception? So what do you mean by an exception? Can I say that an exception means an error within the instructions what we write, which is making the flow of execution to stop abruptly? Can I call that as an exception? Yes. Okay, so we are writing some set of instruction. So there might be some of the error what you have added in the code, which is actually stopping the flow of execution abruptly. It is not like expected, but all of a sudden it is just simply stopping. So that is what we call it as a exception. Now, what do you mean by this exception handling? So before talking about the exception handling, we have a concept of two types of exceptions. In fact, like three types of exceptions. Okay, there are three types of exception. One is static exceptions, or even call it, in fact, instead of static, I say syntactical exceptions. We have something called as runtime exceptions and user defined exceptions. Okay, so there are three types of exceptions. I mean, three types of all of sudden stops can happen within your application because of syntactical exceptions, runtime exceptions, and user defined exception. So there is a difference between an error and an exception. Okay, so when you say syntactical exception or syntactical error, what do you mean by these guys? Anytime you are not following the set of rules and regulations being given by the particular programming language, we call it as a syntactical exceptions or syntactical errors. Right? Now, when I say it was been asked that whenever you're putting an if condition, you say if A double equal to B. Okay. Now I say something, some set of instruction. Now, what if I forgot to add some brace here? Is it not a syntactical exception? Yes. So this is called as compile time exceptions, either syntactical or we can say compile time exceptions. So the time when the application or the JavaScript engine is actually identifying the set of instructions, it will convert the set of instructions into system understandable language. At that time, if it will also checks for the syntactical rules, whether user is following it or not. Okay, it will check for whether user is strictly following the set of rules and regulations within the application. So that is what error we call it as a syntactical exceptions. Now, what any programming language, not only JavaScript, any programming language you go, every programming language suggests that you cannot handle the syntactical exception. Okay, so what do you mean by handling? Handling in the sense, if there is a particular line where there is an exception, you want to skip that guy, you want to handle that guy, and want to continue the remaining set of execution. Okay, when you say handling the exception in the sense, you want to say that when there is a exception being raised or when there is an error being raised, at that time, I want to, what do you say, I want to skip that line of execution, or I will handle that have handled that instructions, and I will be showing, or I will be continuing the remaining set of instruction. It is not like abruptly I will stop the flow of execution. Okay, that is what we call it as syntactical exceptions. Sorry, that is what we call it as handling the exceptions. Now, what do you mean by syntactical exceptions? If we didn't follow the rules and regulations what JavaScript is providing, okay, whatever the JavaScript language has provided some set of instructions while writing the coding, if we are not following it, if there is an error been happening, you cannot handle that. You cannot say that, okay, boss, skip this line. Now, if you see at line number 12, we were missing to put a brace. So here it is a Compile time exception, syntactical exception. Now you cannot say that, okay, boss, if there is an error, you skip that guy, continue the remaining instruction. No. Syntactical exceptions cannot be handled. You cannot handle them. Okay, for sure, you need to fix them. Then what about the runtime exceptions? Yes, these exceptions can be handled. Okay, say for example, you're dividing a number with a 0. You are saying that, now when I say where a is equal to array of say some 34 and 56. Okay, I say console.log a of something called as 5. Now, can you tell me, do you see any type of syntactical mistakes are there? Syntactical errors are there here? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, syntactical,
No.
there's an exception.
No,
But
no.
if you see, logically there is an error. Yes, why so? You have defined an array of 2 values. You're trying to find out the value from the 5th position, which is not existing. This is what we call it as runtime exceptions. Exceptions which get raised at the time of executing the piece of code. Now, these type of instruction or these type of exceptions can be handled in JavaScript. You can handle them. Now, if you say, I have line number 17, I have 18, 19, 20 and all. When there is an error at line number 18, it simply says that, boss, there is an error, it will stop it. But now what you can do, you can handle the error at line number 18 and you can say the controller to go further, go next and execute the remaining further executions. Okay, so this is what we call it as runtime exception. Anyway, user-defined exceptions, I'll talk about later. Did you guys get a good idea that the difference between the compile time exceptions and runtime exceptions, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, no more questions?
Hello, sir. Could you repeat once? Runtime exception.
Exceptions which get
Sir, runtime.
exceptions which get raised at the time of runtime are called as runtime exceptions, in which syntactically you are following all, but logically something going wrong. Example, line number 16, you are defining an array of 2 values. You're trying to access the value at the 5th position. Array size is 2, but you're trying to access the 5th position, which is not existing. That is an error, right? So these type of errors, we call it as runtime exceptions. Okay, so let me practically show you that how do we create a simple example where if the flow is going fine, we won't get any type of runtime exceptions. If the flow is not following the set of rules and regulations, there is a chance of getting a runtime exceptions. And how do we handle the runtime exceptions? Let us create an example out of it. Okay. So let me see. New folder. 16. Okay. We call it as runtime or else okay. So let's see HTML. Let me create a simple flow of application.
Sir, mute lo undi.
Yes, guys. I mean, I'm just creating examples. I'm just not talking. Yeah. So I'm creating a text align center, make it as margin of 10 pixels. Okay. Employee task assignment application. Okay, for this, I say enter ID is equal to ename. Okay, I follow the input type equal to button, value is equal to the button, value is equal to save. Save. On click equal to save emp name. Let me create a separate JavaScript file for this app.js where save emp name is a function, arrow function I'm going for. Open the browser. This is how it is coming. I put the name, I click on save, and the same way I say input type is equal to, you can say, button. Create task container. Okay, this is another method which is used to create the task container, where some task container is equal to so and so, like this. Next, I say input type equal to say some button, value is equal to show task. On click equal to show task. Guys, understand the flow of application. Okay, if you understand this, this is how you'll understand, like, okay, where there is a chance of getting an exception. Okay, so now if you come back here, reload the page. I have a very simple requirement that this is an application where every employee come to this application and he will get to know what is the task he has to perform for every day. Okay, every day, like what is the perform he has to perform. He has to give his name. He simply click on save and he create a task container. One of the container gets created. Now, if you say show task, it will automatically show him that, okay, what is the task he has to do for today. Okay, this is what my requirement is. Now, first of all, when I say save emp name, what I need to do here, I need to say var ename equal to what is the reference of this guy? ID is so and so. I say doc. Okay, let me make the ename as a global variable. Var ename document dot query selector hash so and so dot value. Come on. Okay, I got the ename on click of this. Now, when I create a task container, my expectation is there should be, okay, under the body tag, or else I say some div class equal to welcome block. Okay. Now what I do is whenever user say that create a task container, I will create a div guy here where div tag equal to document dot query selector. Sorry, how do you create an element? Create element, right? Create element. You need to create a div tag. Okay. For the div tag dot set attribute class and its value is task container. Instead of class, let me go with an ID. Okay. And this guy has to get added to the body tag. Now what I say, document dot query selector body. Find out the body tag for this guy dot append. What? This div tag. Simple. And for this div tag, let us give some CSS here. Hash. Oh, sorry. It is task container is the tag here. Task container. Say some border of 1 pixel and solid, and I see text align center. Okay, some width equal to 500 pixel, margin of 20 pixel, and auto padding of say some 30 pixel. Okay, and say some font hyphen weight equal to bolder. Save this guy, come back here and reload the page. I say my name is Sesam Prasad. I click on save. When I click on create task container, nothing is happening. Why so? We have not included the app.js file here. I need to say script src equal to app.js. Come back and reload the page. Employee name, say some Tina. I click on save, create task container. This is how the task container got created. Now you click on show task. Under this task container, I should able to show a task. Okay, where say some task MSG is equal to do the project error handling throughout the do the project error handling throughout the application. Okay, this is what the message I have. Now what I need to do, I need to show it to the user. So what I do is document dot query selector hash task container dot inner HTML is equal to whatever this task message you have that is being assigned to this. Simple. Okay. Now let us see this guy. I have to say reload the page. Okay. I say some Tina, click on save, create the task container. When I say show task, that message is been added to the user. Okay. He has to do the project error handling throughout the application. Okay. Very nice. After this, I should even throw a welcome message to the user or a thanks message for the user for making use of our web page. Okay, I need to show some thanks message to the user. We already have the thanks block. Okay, instead of welcome block, I say thanks block. Okay, so this thanks block is having some CSS here again. I say dot thanks block. Okay, say some border 1 pixel solid hash CCC. I say the position as absolute. Okay, and I say bottom of 30%, left of 45%. 40%, and I say the width of say some 400. Reload the page here. This is how you got the welcome message, and I haven't specified the height for this. Height, instead of height, I can go with the padding property. Okay, this is how I got the thanks block. Let me say the bottom of say some 35 pixel. Instead of this CCC, I'll make it as D30. Now, if you come to this is more lighter. Okay, let me make the background also. So this guy says some background color of say some yellow, green. This is how I have a very simple thanks block. But my expectation is I don't want to show the thanks block on load of the page. Okay, text align center. I say font weight also bold. So my expectation is I don't want to show the thanks block on load of the page. We know that. For that, we can simply say display none. We don't want to show it. So on load of the page, I don't see a thanks block. And that too, I need to put some message under the thanks block saying that thanks for using our page for task. Okay, this is what the message I have added. Now, if you save this guy, come back here and reload the page. Now, when I want to show this thanks block, whenever we show this task, then I can simply show, I want to show the document dot query selector, okay, dot thanks block, dot style dot display equal to block. Okay, now if you save this guy, come back here and reload the page. I say the employee name, Mr. Raj. I click on save. I said create the task container. I say show task. It is saying that do the project error handling throughout application. And I would like to say this message something like this. Instead of adding this, I say, guys, just give me a second. Yeah, sorry guys. So yeah, what I was saying is where MSG. Okay, the message is this thanks, but I would like to say thanks, Mr. Username, right? We have to put the e-name. You know, in general, this is what we do. We put the e-name something like this. Okay, this is how we do. And document dot query selector, this guy dot inner text is equal to MSG, isn't it? Now, if you come back, reload the page, I say Mr. Raj, I say save, create task container, show task. After showing the task, it is saying that thanks Mr. Raj for using our page. Here I can put a space. Now here, if you see here, I'm putting a string, I'm making it so and so, right? Instead of this, we can even do this guy. Okay, everything will be part of the string. Instead of e-name, I will simply say dollar of EMP name. Okay. And instead of this inverted commas, I use the quote symbols. Now, if you see, okay, I'm commenting out this guy. Come back here and reload the page. I say, Mr. Prasad, click on save, create task container, show task. See here, still it is coming the same. Thanks, Mr. Prasad. So what is this dollar of so and so? This is actually, we call it as string interpolation, which is part of ECMA 6. When I talk about the ECMA 6, I'm going to talk about this. But anyway, as the time, as the same thing has come, so I'm just telling this. Earlier, in order to add a string variable between the strings, we used to do this, var ms equal to so and so plus so and so, something like this. But now what we can do, if you say simply dollar of within flower braces variable name, JavaScript will automatically take the value and it will inject it. But one main thing is, it should not be in double quotes or single quotes. It should be on a quote symbol. Okay. What is quote here? If you say double colon, this is how it looks like. If it is single colon, this is how it looks like. If it is a quote, this is how it looks like. Okay. So it should be under the quote symbol. So once you put under the quote symbol, it will automatically replace the dollar of so and so with whatever the message you have. Okay. So it's up to you. Either you can go with the line number 16 way or the line number 17 way. And one more thing, what I wanted is, I want to show this thanks message after some 2 seconds of time or 5 seconds of time. Okay, so how I can go for? I can simply say set timeout. Okay, I'll put some callback method. Okay, under this callback method, I'll be copying all these statements. And these guy will be called after 2 seconds of time. Now, if you come back and reload the page, now I say, Mr. Raj, click on save, create task container, show task, the project error handling, and you got the message, something called as thanks. Any questions up to this? Anyone? Come on. Is everyone so clear up to this? Yes or no?
Can you please go back to the code?
Okay. Okay, yeah. Come on, guys. Any questions?
Nothing. I just want to see the code.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what is the dollar sign? If you put dollar sign previous anything, then what is the result? Because I am not attending the previous classes. So can you tell me again?
Okay, actually it is nothing, ma'am. If you see, you understand this line number 21. Message equal to thanks, Mr. is a static word. E-name is a variable. You are saying plus so and so that the value of the e-name will be placed here, isn't it? You're clear with this line number 21, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Instead of this, we will be using this type. This we call it as a string interpolation, which is being supported from your ECMA 6. So what it is saying is, you simply say dollar, open flower brace, close flower brace, put the variable name. The variable name is ename. Okay. And you put all the string in a quote symbol. JavaScript will automatically compile the string. It will replace the ename with the actual value within the particular variable. That is what this means. Okay. Any more questions? Anyone? Come on, guys. More questions.
So this is a function inside a function, huh? Anonymous function.
Which one, Giri? The set timeout one you're saying?
Yeah. See, line number 12, one function is there, and again inside that, again in line number 16.
Line number 12
function.
is a function, but here we are invoking a function. We are simply invoking a function. It is not defining a function. But under invoking that function, we are just put the definition of it. That's it. We cannot say it as an inner function. Inner functions are Now, if I say another var testing is equal to something like this. Now, this is called as inner function. Testing is a function which is defined inside the show task. Okay, Amit, agree?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now,
Is
okay,
that timeout a predefined function or
come on,
user
Praveen.
defined?
You should not ask this. Guys, have you discussed about this set timeout and set interval.
Predefined, sir.
Yeah, it's a
Predefined.
predefined.
Come on,
So
Pravika.
it automatically gets called.
You missed this class. Haven't we? You have. You are not there at the. I mean, earlier when we talked about
So
this.
this particular date and time class I did not attend. I have to check the video.
Okay, fine. So these are the two predefined methods which are responsible for. I mean, set timeout method. You simply pass two parameters, a callback method and a time, so that whatever the method you give, it will be invoked automatically after the given time. Whereas set interval, it will take the same syntax, but it will be keep on repeatedly invoking that method with a provided interval. Okay, these are predefined methods.
Okay.
Guys, are we clear? Can I go extending of this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Come
Yes,
on,
sir.
guys. If you have questions, it is fine. Let me know, but don't just simply sit idle. Okay, let's see that. What is the next part? The next part is, if you see here, I'm coming in. Raj has come. His task is do the project error. I say Mr. Prasad has come. When I click on save, I say create task container. When I say, okay, one thing, I reload the page. I say Prasad, I click on save, create task container, show task. Every time I'm getting the same task because you have hard coded it. I want to write a very simple logic here. What was that? I want to take some 10 jobs, static 10 jobs. I want to show a job to the user randomly. Randomly, I want to show one job so that user will feel like, okay, randomly I'm getting a value. Okay. Okay, so let us say how I'm going to do this. I will take an array of tasks where say some tasks or task list equal to array of the first task is do project review. Another value is I can say complete the development of login module. Okay. The third thing is complete the code review of all modules within the application. Add new classes for existing modules. Develop the service for validating user credentials. Okay, assume I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 tasks I have. My requirement is I want to show the random task here. Now, if at all I have to show the task, what I can do, I can simply say, instead of this guy, I say task list of say someone. If I do this, what's going to happen? First task is going to come, which is in the first position. Second guy is coming again, it is going to come, right? I want to pick some random value between 1 to 5. How do you do this? Okay. For this, let me show you a very simple example how to generate random values. Random values. Okay, very simple JavaScript code. Whenever you say script, right? Script console dot log. There is something called as math is a predefined object in JavaScript, which is having some predefined method math dot random. Okay, a simple predefined method is there, math dot random method. So what actually these guy is doing? Let us see what this guy is doing. Open in the default browser, click on inspect, go to console. You see here, what is the random number you got? 0.012 so and so. Okay, reload the page, 0.194. Reload 0.0 something. I mean, you're getting some value here. I mean, some random value which is being thrown. By default, JavaScript is providing this method math.random, which will automatically give the values between 0 to 1. Only 0 to 1. Okay, super fine. Now, my expectation is I want to find out the random values between 0 to 100. My expectation is 0 to 100. So how do I do that? So for that, I can simply say where random number is equal to math dot random. You multiply with what is the maximum value you wanted into something called as, okay, 100 is my maximum. Implies between 100, I want to see this. Okay, let us see this guy. Console.log. What is the random number? If you see here, reload the page. The first random number, okay, why you have 2 times? I don't want this 2 times. Okay, or else let us see the difference. You can see the difference now. Now, if you reload the page, math.random is giving something called a 0 dot so and so. But what is the math.random into 100 is giving 48 point so and so. If you reload some 77 point so and so, if you reload some 52, something, anytime you refresh your page, you only get the random value between 0 to 100 only, because you are multiplying with 100. If you multiply with 10, you will get the value between 0 to 10. See here, 4 point so and so, 3 point so and so, 2 point so and so, 0 point so and so, like this. But I don't want this point values. What I can do, I can say, what do you say? You know, like whenever you have dot digits, you will round up that value. I say math dot floor. Okay, so math dot floor is, it will simply round up that value. Now, when I say random number, now if you reload the page, you see 9 is coming, 8 is coming, 5 is coming, randomly it is coming. It is not like 1, 2, 3, 4. See, randomly 4, 2, 6, 9, 8, 1, 6, 1, 4, 1, 9, 5, 9, 0, 7, like this. I mean, it is randomly throwing the value for us. So how do you come in? I got value, right?
Between
Sorry, what was that?
sir, this method of floor also we can do like the above number 12.
Shreyas, your question is not clear. I think some problem with the voice. Can you please type the question here? Okay. So this is what you're having the advantage, guys. Now, if you see what is my task list here, I have 6 values here. Now, can I simply say instead of 10, if I say into 6 here. Now, if you come back, reload the page, you get the value only between 0 to 6. Isn't it? Yes. Now, I simply take this as an index value. I will simply take out this random number under app.js. Whenever user is showing the task here, I say random number. And instead of task list of 0, I say task list of random number. That's it. Save this guy. Come back here, reload the page. Sorry, this guy, reload the page. I say Tina, click on save, create task container, show task. My task is undefined. Why so? Oh, sorry, it is not 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maximum should be 5. Now, if you reload the page, Mr. Raj, save, create task container, show task. Come on, why it is undefined? Console, no error. we said math dot random. Oh, math dot floor also we have to do that, right? Math dot floor, because it will throw with an index value. Oh, sorry, this guy has to be so. Come
Sir, is
back
it
to-
math or match?
It is math, right? Who added this match?
Consider as math.
Okay, save this guy and reload the page. I say TNAV, click on save, create task container, show task. See here, complete the development of login page. Now, when I say another show task, do the project review, show task, add new class, show task, complete the implies randomly it is picking up this value. Okay. Based on this, if I ask you a question, can you create a dice? Can you guys create a dice using this? I want to create a dice, something like this.
Yes, sir, it can be created.
You need to simply create a button. When the user clicks on the button, you need to show only the value between 1 to 6 randomly. If you would have seen some games like Ludo or Snake and Ladder, internally the dice is using the same logic. They are internally finding the math dot random, and I mean the only graphics need to be shown like it is rotating, but internally how the value will be picked up. This is how it will be picked up randomly. No one is saying that every time you should get only 2, 3, 4, 5. No.
Math floor and math random both will be used in dice, right?
Yeah, obviously it has to be used, right? If you have to get the value between 1 to 6, you have to use it.
Yes, yes. It is possible.
Okay. Okay, so what did you show? Shreyas, can we do line 14 also? Okay, you already got the answer, Shreyas, right? You don't have other questions. Okay, you can try this example, guys, how to create a simple dice. Okay, fine. So if we come to your application, the first thing what we have achieved is you give the name, you click on save, you create a task container. When I click on show task, you should be able to get the task. At the same time, you're even getting a welcome message to the user. Okay, simple. Now, fine. Now, my requirement is once you inspect this, I have given this application to the end user. Boss, this is the application. You can make use of it. What is the use of this guy? You can give your name. You click on save. You click on create task container. Then you click on show task. You should be able to see the task. Okay, super fine. What if user is giving the name? He is clicking on save. As per the instruction, he has to create a task container. But now what he is doing, what if he clicks on the show task? If you inspect this guy, you see no welcome message is getting shown. At the same time, no task is also being shown. In the console, do you see there is an error? What it is saying, boss, I couldn't able to find out an element. When I'm trying to find out an element to set the inner HTML, the element is coming as null at line number 23. What was that? At line number 23, you see, you are trying to find out an element called as task container to set the task. But as the user didn't follow the instruction, he is not creating this task container. Obviously, at this line, are you going to get an error? Yes. Now, can you tell me line number 23, whatever the error we got, is it is a runtime error or compile time error?
Runtime.
Runtime.
Obviously runtime, because
Run-
syntactically everything is good.
Runtime.
Syntactically, we followed all the rules, whatever been all the rules, whatever all needed, and on the top we are actually getting the error when it is runtime, and that too because of some user mistake. Because if it is there is a chance that every time runtime exception as a developer you need to handle, but this exception is coming because of the user user way of operating the application. He's not following the exact rules and all, so his way of operating the application is not good. So this is where the exception is coming. But that doesn't mean that you as a developer you say that, boss, it is user mistake, he's doing something wrong. No, you as a developer need to handle everything. You as a developer need to see what is the issue and you should be able to handle that issue. Okay, so how we should able to handle this flow? Right now, what is happening? It is breaking the flow of application. Okay, it is breaking the flow of application. How the application is, flow is going, like one by one. Actually, thanks message has to come. No, it is not coming. Why so? It has broken the flow. Okay, but now what I want to do is I want to handle this runtime exception. When there is an error at line number 23, why the reason you are abruptly stopping the flow of the application? You have to continue the flow of execution. Don't skip the flow of execution. The continuous execution has to go. If there is an error at line number 23, skip that guy, because it is not a syntactical error. Now you say, I missed the brace. Is it is runtime error or compile time error? Compile time error, syntactical error. Now, can I say that, okay, skip the line number 23 and go to the line number 24? No, there is no chance. Syntactical error for sure need to be fixed, isn't it? So in this case, what I'm saying is, okay, handle the error at line number 23 and you continue with the remaining line number 25, etc., things and all. Okay, super fine. Now, how do you handle this runtime errors? My main motive or my reason of doing this exception handling is skip the line whatever you have or handle that and continue the flow. Right now, if you are not getting the thanks message also here, see, I'm giving some test here. Click on save, simply say show task. No, I'm not even getting the thanks message. Why so? At line number 23, I'm getting an error. It is stopping the flow. Now, how do I handle that? In order to handle these guys, we have a predefined keywords, which is called as try and catch methods. JavaScript is supporting exception handling. The errors which are raised at the runtime can be handled using JavaScript using try and catch keywords. Okay, so how it is going to look like? We are going to have a try set of instructions. Okay, following with catch set of instructions like this. This is how try and catch syntax is going to look like. What are instructions under the try and catch? Under the try block, the set of instructions in which there is a chance of getting an error, we put under the try block. Repeating again, the set of instructions in which there is a chance of getting errors, we keep it under the try block. Whenever there is an error within the try block, automatically the controller will jump from try block to catch block in order to handle that exception. And it will continue the remaining flow of execution. Earlier, what was happening? If these instructions are not part of try block, when there is an error at line number 3, I'm simply stopping abruptly. All of a sudden, I'm stopping everything by throwing an error. But now what happens if there is an error at line number 3? As I'm already part of the try block, I will automatically go to the catch block, which is the very immediate block of the try block. And I will be handling the exception over there, and I will be continuing the remaining flow of execution. Example, let us see this back. Now, what I say here, and one more thing, you may ask me a question, how do you know what instructions has to be kept inside the try block? This is no one is going to help you. Being a developer, you need to understand that. Because by looking into this as a developer, can you tell me, is there any chance of getting a runtime error from line number 1 to 7? Is there is any chance of getting a runtime error from line number 1 to 11?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, because it is simply array you are defining and the strings you are defining. Okay. Any chance of getting a runtime error over here? No, because you're
No,
trying
sir.
to find out an ID name called a he name, which
No,
you're
sir.
already coding within the container. Okay. Even here, there is a chance? No, because we are simply creating an element and adding to the body. Right now, at line number 21, no, you're taking a random number. Line number 22, no. And line number 23, yes. If the user is not creating a task container, then I may get null as a value at line number 23. Then how you are going to handle this? So this is how you will get to know that where there is a chance of getting an error, you simply keep that guy inside the try block. So again, I'm telling guys, no one is going to come and tell you that, boss, here you add a try block. No, it's all with your experience. You should be able to identify which block needed a try block, which has to be kept inside a try block, or which should not be. Okay. And one main thing you see, when I kept inside a try block, I'm getting an error here. What is the problem? Whenever you say a try block, after the try block, you should immediately have a catch block, which comes with the error information, or we should have something called as a finally block. Every try block should have either catch or finally. I will talk about this finally later, but for now, let us talk about the catch block. So what is this catch block? The set of instructions through which you will handle the error which is being raised at line number 24. We keep it inside the catch block. Like for now, okay, let us say, for example, I haven't added any instructions in the catch block. Let us see what is going to happen. Reload the page. I have given some Tina. Save. I'm not creating the container. I'm simply clicking something called as show task. What is happening here? Do you see any type of error you are getting? No, no error. Are you getting the thanks message? Yes. This is what advantage you have with the try catch. Earlier, what it was doing, when there is an error at line number 25, it is simply stopping and not even executing the remaining instructions. But now what you are doing, you could able to you are just continuing the remaining flow of execution, but you're not handling boss. Here user might get a question, why I didn't get the task message? Why it is only showing the thanks message? Do I need to update the user saying that, boss, you have to click on the container, you missed it. So please make sure you do that from the next time. Do I need to do that? So those type of things, we call it as handling the exceptions. Those type of instructions has to be kept under the catch block. For now, I simply say console.log. You missed to create a container. Okay, save this guy, come back here and reload the page. I say employee name, Mr. Raj, click on save. I say show task. See here, I'm getting a message, I'm handling it. Oh, user will get to know that, okay, I missed to create the container, which I will be doing. Now you say create container. Now you say show task. Do you see the handling message? No. Why so? When there is an error, then only the catch block will be executed. If there is no error, if it is a happy flow, catch block will not get executed. As simple as it is. Anyone, any questions? Come on,
Hello,
guys.
sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there any, if there is no error, then what it will show in the case?
When there is no error, it will execute line number 24. No error. I will not execute the catch block. I will continue with the line number 32.
Okay.
Next.
Sir, inside the try.
What we have to kept in try block?
Sorry, what was that?
So what we have to kept in try block? Which
Under the
statement?
try block, we have to put all the set of instructions in which there is a chance of getting runtime error. We as a developer, while writing the piece of code, we will understand here there is a chance of getting error, here there is a chance of getting a runtime error. So you as a developer need to understand that, keep it inside the try block, so that when the error will come, it will automatically come to the handling block.
Okay, sir.
Next. Hello, sir.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Sir, in the console.log, yeah, normal runtime, we are executing a single line where we will able to see. Means you already have told us. So then what is the need of the again try and catch?
Okay, if we don't put the try and catch, is the application is executing or it is stopping?
It is stopping.
That's it, right? Now the use of try catch is to not to stop, go with the further execution. Did I answer your question, Pavani, or still you have a question?
No, sir. Means I am asking. My doubt is that normally whenever run time, we are if we have any errors, then it is showing that this line number in the console.log. Am I right?
Yes.
So yeah. So then why it is that there is a need? Already we in the console.log we will know about that this line is wrong. Then why again there is a need of try and catch?
Okay. So here I have a try and catch. I missed to put the brace here. Now, if you save this guy, okay, if you inspect this guy, reload the page, you're getting an error. As you said at line number 24, there is something missing. Is it is an error or exception? Is it an error or exception? It is an
Exception.
error. Error. The things which
Okay.
get raised at the time of compile time, you miss some syntax, you have to do that. Okay, that is what I have done. Super fine. Now, if you save this, now if you come back, reload the page, I say Mr. Raj, I say save, create container, show task, everything is happening fine, right? Yes or no? The console is not showing. Now, what I said, runtime error, because of the user behavior, I say Mr. Raj, I click on save and I click on show task. For the user, if we don't put the try and catch, user is getting the error. Do you think for the user showing an error is valid? No, right? We as a developer need to handle it. You cannot simply say that user missed to click on. We cannot simply say that user simply missed in clicking on the container, right? We have to still flow the execution. That is what we are achieving using your try and catch. Am I clear, Pavani? Or
I am not getting, sir.
okay, what I'm saying is, let's take a practical example. Yeah, this is what the practical example actually.
Sir, I've got an
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you try and run without the try and catch block as a separate item, and then show the error, and then afterwards show what the benefit of this is, maybe again.
Okay. Say for example, Pavni, I don't have this. Okay. You are the user. You are using this. Okay. Inspect this. You are the user, I'm saying. You are not a developer. You don't have any idea how these guys developed. You don't have any idea. You simply said something called as Pavni. I click on save, create task container. You simply said show task. Is it working good?
Yes, it's working.
Working, sir.
Working fine, right? Okay, very good. I am another user. Mr. Prasad has come. Prasad is there. Okay, he's click on save. He's simply clicking on show task. Do I have any idea that what is this error? As a user, you are exactly following the steps and creating. User asks. The developer asks that. Okay, ma'am, click on create container. The happy flow is happening. But I don't know that I mistakenly clicked on the show task. If I did mistakenly, you are throwing an error. Do you think it is a valid way of showing the error to the end user? End user is the guy who is using your application. No. Now, whenever you're creating your applications, when you don't put the username, you're getting a corresponding pop-up saying that boss, username is mandatory. You're not giving a password. It is correcting. Implies those are handling the exceptions. You are creating an error, but it is being handled by the program. In the same way, now my application is not handling it. Why the error is coming? Because okay, error is coming. Now, if I ask that, okay, at least show me the thanks message. No, it won't come because it is stopped abruptly. When there is an error, I'll stop it. And this is not a compile time error. It is a runtime error. Now, if I keep it inside the try block, the advantage is if this statement works good, fine. I will directly go with the remaining. But if there is an error, then there is a problem. Just give me a second, guys.
Hello, sir.
I think he might have got a call, guys. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, yesterday I was not here. I missed the lesson yesterday. Can we just have a brief go through of what was done yesterday, maybe, if anyone is okay with it? Hello, anyone here?
Yeah, Raj.
There is a recording, I guess. You can go through that. Someone has recorded that.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll do that. I thought, I just get a brief idea of it. But yeah, okay, I'll go through the recording. Thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
I think yesterday we completed all those and inheritance and all those.
Shreyas, your voice is not clear.
Sorry, guys. Uh, what I was doing, what I was discussing. Yeah, Pavni, are you clear, ma'am? Now you got the difference?
Yes, sir. Means, sir, normally whenever we are filling that forms, there are different 10 fields. For example, if we miss the second one and we will go the third one, that time it will ask that you have missed that previous one, you have not filled that one. In that time, we will use the try and catch.
Exactly. So there we put a try catch. Try will
Okay.
get executed successfully if you fill the data. Try will be failure and it will go to the catch block. Catch block will show you the error. Got it?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Next. Anyone else?
Sir, can you pass more than
Uh,
one statement inside the try?
That's a good question. We can add any number of statements within the try block. Say, for example, here I have line number 2, line number 3, line number 4. Any number of instructions, you can add it inside the try. But whenever there is an error, say, for example, at line number 3, there is an error. It will skip the 4 and 5. It will jump to catch block. Whenever there is an error in the try, it will automatically jump to the catch block, execute the instruction, continue the remaining 10, 11, 13 and all. Okay.
Sir, I have also one more doubt. If I use a function, inside a function, whatever statement I passed, suppose I thought that error might be happen in this statement, can I pass try inside in between the function?
Yes. You want to put all the function inside the try block? Yes, it's up to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Next.
Error is a predefined keyword or it is an object?
Okay, that's a good question. This error is a user-defined formal parameter. Where was that? This guy. This is, I can even say something called as some prasad. But we simply say it is error. Why so? Because it is relevant. What is this object will contain? That guy will contain the extra information of the current error being generated. Now, if you say console.log, boss, what is this error? I want to see, I want to know what error got occurred. Like if you go into Java, if you have an idea, there are lots and types of error, like null pointer exception, file not found exception, infinity exception, lot of errors are there. But in JavaScript, there is no predefined exception. Okay, now I say Raj, I click on save, I click on show task. See here, this is what the extra information what you got under the error object. It's a it is not predefined, it is user defined, but it will be having the info.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one more question. One more question is that one. Can we have a try catch inside again one more try catch?
Yes, that's a good
can we
question.
have that one?
You can have any number of try catch statements. Say, for example, I can have try again. I can have try. Like this. Now you need to write the corresponding catch for this. Okay, when there is an error at line number 5, only this catch statement will occur. But this doesn't go. This will only go if there is any errors in 1, 2, 3, and 10 and 11. Okay, you can write inner try catch statements as per your requirement.
Same thing applies to catch block as well, right? Inside the catch block also again the try can
yes,
be there.
we can do that. Yes, inside the catch also we can even write the try catch statements. One main thing what you need to understand is for a corresponding try block, for a particular try block, corresponding catch statement should be there. That's it. Either catch or finally, both are fine. Finally, anyway, I'll discuss.
The structure of try catch is like if else.
If else, you can say that, but you can't even say that. The thing is there is any, when I go inside an if, I never go to the else. But in case of your try block, I have to for sure go into the try. If there is an error, then I will go to the catch. Otherwise, I won't go to the catch. So that is the reason there is a small difference between them. Next.
Sir, I've got a question.
Go ahead.
In terms of, I know earlier you said set timer out inside the code, set timeout, sorry. I know it's very resource intensive in terms of the number of times it runs, within that particular time. Is there any alternative to improve the performance of it rather than to use just set timeout?
Could you repeat your question, Raj, again?
I know that the set timeout, the JavaScript code basically it runs multiple times and it's very resource intensive. Okay.
Set timeout doesn't run multiple times, right? Set interval it executes multiple times.
Okay, fine. Oh, okay. Then yeah, then it should be okay. Yeah, I thought it runs multiple times in the background, just checking that it has met the required time frames and whatnot. So
No.
okay.
Set interval will go. Set timeout only once after the given time. That's
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Next.
Sir, is error is the only object we should use in catch, or is there any other thing we can also use it in catch?
That is what I just explained, right? I mean, Giri was having the same question, that is error is predefined. No, you can even say Prasad, ABC, XYZ. As error is relevant, I just used it, but it's up to you. It's a formal parameter. Next. That's it. We can go forward. Everyone?
Yep, fire away.
Okay, nice. So this is what about the exception handling. Anytime you get any error, if you just keep it, it will be automatically rendering into, if you put the instructions inside the try block, when there is an error, automatically catch block will be thrown. If there is no error, catch block will never get executed. Okay. Along with the try block, there is something called as finally block, which is an optional. It is not mandatory to put a final. But one thing is, for a try block, either catch or finally, both has one of the things should be there. You can have the catch along with finally also. So what is the use of this finally? Finally is a block where you have to put the set of instructions in which the set of instructions has to be placed, which are for sure need to be executed irrelevant of whether there is an exception or no exception. Okay, the set of instructions inside this. Now, if I say console.log finally got executed. Okay, let us save this guy. Let us run this. I'm giving Mr. Raj save, create task container, show task. Finally got executed. Super fine. I say Santina, click on save. I'm not creating a container, show task. Finally got executed here. Yes. So catch executed following with finally. So this is the block for sure will executed irrelevant whether there is an exception being raised or not. So can I say that thanks block is the block which has to be for sure executed irrelevant whether user is creating an exception or not exception, isn't it? So these type of instructions has to be placed under the finally. Now, if you come back, reload the page, I say Mr. Raj, save, create task container, show task. See, this is how it is showing the thanks message. Okay. If I say save and directly show task, you're getting the error, but still the finally block got executed. Now, you may ask me a question. Earlier, if we put the set timeout out of the finally also working the same, now is also working the same, then what is the reason? It actually gives some extra information for the developer so that to relate the set of instruction, this set of instructions we are executing, if there is an error, this guy get executed, and for sure, this is what the instructions gets executed. Practical example. Let us say I'm writing the piece of code. Create a DB connection, database connection, open a database connection. Okay, database connection opened. Go into the DB, look for a table, something called as student details. Okay, looking for a table. I have got the table. Yes. Once you get the table, what I will do? I will use the table. I have to close the connection. Then only I have to come out. Okay. Step 1 is open the connection to the DB. Step 2 is do some operations on the table. Step 3 is close the connection, get out of it. But now, second option, open the connection, go to the table. Table is not there. You got an error. Okay, open the table, you got an error. Okay, when there is an error, guys, just give me. Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, now what I'm saying is, so in the second option, when you're opening a connection, there is no table. You try to find out a table, there is an error. It doesn't mean that you get out of it. As you have opened the connection, you have to for sure close it. So closing the connection is the option, has to go under finally, which will get executed for sure, irrelevant whether there is success or not. So that is what we call it as a finally block. Even though you put the instruction out of the finally block, things will get executed. But as a developer, if you look into these three blocks, you will be so clear what are the things you have to do. When there is an error, what has to be done? When there is error or not error, what is the mandatory instructions which I need to write? Because if I write it outside, every other instruction will be outside. User will never get a feel that these are related. But if we keep it inside the final, there is a relation between those all three blocks. Any questions up to this? Finally block.
Does the JavaScript deal with the DB connections?
No, but when you go to the Node.js and all, we are going to deal with the DB connections and
all. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am not able to understand what is the finally.
Okay, let us take another practical example. Okay, real-time example, I'll tell you. Assume I have a big building. Okay, I have my office boy. I asked him, open the gates of the building, go to room number 2, see whether the classes are happening or not. If the classes are happening, let the class happen. If it gets finished, come out, close the doors of the main gate. Now you get out. This is my task case. If you take a happy flow, my boy will come, open the main gate, go inside the building, see the room number 2. Class is happening? Yes. I will wait. Let the class finishes. Class is done. I come out, close the main gate, I get out of it. It's a happy flow. When there is an error, he is going inside, opening the gate, going inside, going to room number 2. There is no power. Okay, that is an error. Now he has to handle that. Let the students know that boss, due to power disconnection, the class is not happening. I'm letting them know. Do you think that I'll just get out, or I need to close the door and I need to get out? Pavani, do I need to close the door and get out? I just simply get out of the building. Obviously, I need to close the door, right? So that closing door should be part of the finally block. So a piece of job which for sure need to be done, irrelevant whether there is an error or exception, doesn't matter. For sure I need to do, has to keep inside the finally block. Any more questions? Okay, fine. So for today, guys, you do the enough practice on this guy. Tomorrow, I will be continuing with the user-defined exception. There is a concept of user-defined exceptions. We can create our own exceptions and we can handle them. So that I'm going to discuss in the tomorrow's class.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yes?
I have a question.
Go ahead.